Hello everyone, I just baked very tasty sourdough bun, so I'd like to share it with you. Welcome to SaigoncookTravel. I am Saigon Cook. So I mark the time and I write down the numbers that call like baker's percentage. So here you can stop the machine to see. First, I get to make the levain. If you follow me, you can see other video of how to revive to boost a starter before baking. And you should do that step first so that you have very strong starter. So this is my strong starter. You can see it's double inside and still have the tendency of rising again, but I want to make the bread now. So I start making the levain by that strong starter. And to make this levain, I use 60 starter and the ratio is 1:1:1. So easy on the scale now is 64, so I don't mind a little bit more. So that we consider 60, okay? Now for the water, I will go with 60 grams of water. Like I said, 1:1:1. Because my starter is very strong, so I don't need to feed it a bigger ratio. And with my monitor, so I will be fine with 1:1:1. So after I have the water in, I mix a little bit, but I don't want to break up so much. You can see my starter has string. That the indication that the starter is strong. Now the next thing that I measure my flour the same ratio. Then now I mix on up. So I make sure that I don't have any dry flour, so it needs to be moist all over. And in my experience, I normally use my chopsticks. It's very good to mix. So I cover it and let it rise, and I also write down the time. You remember I started at about 1, so I need to write down what time my levain is ready. So in the meantime, I do the autolyse for the flour as well. And the method that I'm using, that I have the overall baker's percentage, and already I use how much flour and how much water, and I deduct the amount from there, and the rest I go into autolyse. So my bowl will be 300 grams dry bread flour, so I use 250 now because I only 240 now because I only use 60 grams of flour, and I use 8 grams of sugar and 2 grams of salt. This is just for pure flavor. From the amount of sugar can be 8 to 10, and the salt can be 2 to 4 grams. And it's pure. It's pure flavor, so you can adjust accordingly to your liking. So the rest of my 80% hydration is 240 grams of water. So I use 60. So now I use up 180 grams of water. And I mix it on up, and now I add 10 grams of oil. So and now I make sure that everything mixed with the oil, and I will cover and rest for 30 minutes before I do the first booking or stretch and fold. You can see I write down the time as well, so that I know the beginning of our backing levain and the end, also the beginning of autolyse and the end. So this is after 2 hours. My levain bubble and stretching with a lot of air inside, air holes. So let's look at the autolyse flour. You can see they are done too. And now I mix the levain into the autolyse flour. I like to use my hand in dimple into the dough so that the levain go into the flour. And after that I fold and I squeeze. Now I wet my surface, and I dump my dough onto the surface, and I will beat it a few times to make sure everything mixing. Now I have my surface wet, so I wet my hand also. You see, I just pick up and beat down on the surface a few times. And that's it. I put in the pan again, and it will rest for 30 minutes. The 30 minutes is up. Now I will do wet my hand first, and with the hand wet, I go around to release the dough that's sticking to the side of it, and I do the stretch and fold. And that's it. I will cover and let it rest for 30 minutes. And now 30 minutes is up. And I dump my dough onto the surface. Before that, I wet my surface as well. And now I will do lamination. I gently stretch my dough into a rectangular. And after that, I will sprinkle my herbs. I have I use dry and fresh herbs. So for the dry, I use parsley, oregano, and garlic powder. I just sprinkle on over the dough surface. And for the fresh one, I use rosemary, thyme, oregano. Those I grow in my garden. One day I will take you to my garden and see my herbs. I like to use both fresh and dry. With the dry, the smell, the aroma will be very prominent. But with the fresh one, you will see the speck of them through the bread later. So after I'm done sprinkling, I use the help of the cutter and I fold my dough just like a book. So we're done with lamination. From now on, I will do the coil fold to make sure that my dough has strength enough to spring in the oven when I bake it. Okay, so I cover and rest for 30 minutes, and now 30 minutes is up. Now I do the first coil fold. Make sure your hands are wet, because at this point they are still, sticky. Less sticky already, but still sticky. So I go around like this. And now the longer one, I managed to do one more. So I do one more. And then after that I cover and let it rest for 30 minutes more. And now the 30 minutes is up. This is second coil formed. I like to do this side again one more time. Okay, now I cover it and rest for 30 minutes again. Now 30 minutes is up and I did a third coil form. And then I cover it and rest for 30 minutes more. Now I will pre-shape my dough and will be shaping soon and put on the Benetton. So I fold this once, now I fold back twice. And then I go to the other end and roll it just like rolling a roll. So I can use the scraper, my cutter, go underneath a little bit so that it's stretching underneath. In the meantime, I use rice flour to sprinkle onto my panettone, and I sprinkle more flour on the surface so that I turn my dough on it. Now this side I will do exactly like I pre-shape. And because the underneath it got some flour, if there is flour there, my edges won't stick to each other, so I remove and I wet my dough like that, and I fold over, and you can see it stay right there. Now I roll this side. And that is done rolling, done shaping. If you have the oval that you can pick up and put in the Benetton right away, but I have a round one, so I use my cutter with some flour and go around so that they are so that it has the round shape. Now I flip up and my dough is in panettone and I cover it and it goes directly into the fridge to retard overnight. This is the next day I took out, and before that I heat my oven 475 degrees Fahrenheit with the Dutch oven inside. Now my oven is almost ready, so I prepare the parchment paper. My parchment paper is very long, so I will cut off a little bit of side to resemble the sling, so that later when I have my dough on it, I have the place to hold on and took my dough onto the Dutch oven. So this is the dough from the fridge. I took out now and I sprinkle with some flour so it doesn't stick into my parchment paper, and I inverted my dough onto the parchment paper, and we are ready to score. I made another video of how to score a rose design, so please make sure to check my other video. And while you are checking my videos, please subscribe. I have passion for food and gardening and cooking and home improvement, everything in between. If I know anything, I like to share it with you, so please subscribe. Please show your support. It means a lot to me. You are the reason I'm here. So I wet my dough a little bit so that my rice flour stick to my dough, and I go with my hand around, and now I score the rose. Just simple few slash. This is an open rose, the blooming rose. I have another one that is not open like this. So you check my other videos to see how I do. Now my oven reached the temperature, and I took the Dutch oven out, and now I drop my dough into the Dutch oven. Remember, be very careful, it's so hot because the Dutch oven was heated. Now I make sure that my parchment paper don't cover the dough, so that it will brown evenly. And I think I'm happy with it, and I recover the lid, and it goes to the oven, and I bake it for 20 minutes, and I lower the temperature to 425 degrees Fahrenheit and bake for 15 minutes, and after that I turn off the oven. I left there for 15 minutes more, and here we go. Don't you think it looks beautiful? And now I will show you the crumb inside. This way I should have wait, but I couldn't because my husband wants to eat now. So it's still very hot. And you can see the crumb is very even and there are many holes and the herbs, speckles, very nice. And it tasted so good. Thank you for watching. I see you next time. Bye bye.